So I want to bring in two people now who know what it takes to hunt for a fugitive, man or woman, and what it's like to be hunted, and if it's different if you're a woman. Dan Eckhart is an attorney. He is also a former federal prosecutor and a special agent. And Seth Ferranti spent 2 years on the run from the U.S. Marshals, eventually making their most wanted list. And after his capture, he spent 21 years in federal prison. So he knows a thing or two. Gentlemen, thanks. Dan, I'm going to begin with you if I can. They let her go. I found that odd. Yes, okay, the misdemeanor, it wasn't, it wasn't the right paperwork. But don't you keep a real eagle eye on someone like that so that, this doesn't happen and it becomes a woman hunt?
Yeah, that's very problematic, I think, for the law enforcement officials involved in this case. I mean, I read the affidavit earlier today and saw that they had her, at least in police custody. They were questioning her. And there were a lot of details, which you just discussed, that show that she had some involvement, or at least was at the location of the murder. I'm really curious as to what steps they took. Aside from arresting her, again, what things did they do to surveil her, to try to track her, to try to keep an eye on her, because she's obviously a prime suspect in this investigation.
Seth, you have been in her shoes. I mean, literally, you've been on the run in the exact position on this exact day, trying to figure out what do I do next. What do you think she's thinking at this moment? It's only been, a couple, not 2 weeks-ish. And so this is, I don't know if desperation has already set in. Did desperation set in minute one? Do you think it's different because she's a woman?
No, I think it's the same, whether you're a man or a woman, you just have this urge, to just escape. Anytime you find yourself in a situation, especially a situation like this, that involves law enforcement and they're looking for you. I mean, just that urge to get away, that urge to escape, that urge to remove yourself from the situation is so strong. I felt that urge. I wanted to disappear, I wanted to kind of escape the reality so I could kind of process what was actually happening.
Seth, she's a yoga teacher, so I can only assume she understands, how to bring in the Zen. I don't know how she could find the Zen in a moment like this, but it does, lead to a better question, which is, are you so frantic in these early days that you blindly run, or in these early days, are you thoughtful, methodical, and strategic? Or is it different for everybody?
I think it comes down to the classic, fight or flight. Some people in that fight or flight moment, they can really think about what's going on. They can get real methodical. They can plan. They can get strategic, like you said. But other people are just like in the wind. They're just running because they're frantic. I mean, with her, I don't know her, so I couldn't say what the situation is. But, being that she is a yoga instructor, if she can find that inner calmness, maybe she is, doing a lot of strategic planning. Maybe she is like trying to remove herself and get as far away from the situation as possible.
I wonder if she's cut off all that, beautiful red hair, which is like a red flag, Dan. And also, and here's the big thing, I'm assuming that federal agents, U.S. Marshals, and any other jurisdiction that's on the hunt for this woman have locked onto her family and her friends and anybody else she might find support from. Is that kind of how they begin the fan out? Keep eyes on the people she may be knocking on the back door of for a, sandwich?
Yeah, exactly. Just like in other cases that, we've discussed in the recent past. I mean, there are so many people out there that are going to have interest in this case because of the publicity that your show and other shows are bringing, that they're going to be getting phone calls. I mean, this is, the Marshals are taking the lead on this case, apparently. And the way the Marshals work, it's not what a lot of people think, that it's just, the U.S. Marshals, just the federal agents that are deputized as Marshals. They've got task forces throughout the country. And what they do is they cross-designate or deputize local state officers to work on their task force. So what you do is you've multiplied now your sources of information, not just from the federal level, but you have these individual police officers and detectives that have whole armies of informants for various cases, drug cases, fraud cases. Those sources will be engaged and will be tapped into to see if they know anything about this person's whereabouts. So
But she's
in my
not,
opinion, her
Dan, she
chances-
has no like criminal background. It's not like she's got a gang, you know, down on the bad part of town. Like it's not like they could tap into a group to put the pressure on, do a concentric squeeze, you know, and threaten information or else.
Well, that's true, but I mean, people still are going to see things and they're going to hear things, and you'd be surprised. I mean, there's going to be, and as you know, the other gentleman can attest to. I mean, I don't know what led to his capture eventually, but it probably was from somebody anonymously or somebody that was maybe known to him that provided information.
What was it, Seth? How did they finally catch you? What was it? Did you slip up, or did somebody rat you out?
No, I mean, I slipped up. I mean, it was at the height of war on drugs. I continued to sell marijuana. So, you know, it was my own fault. But, you know, I think with Kaitlin, you know, especially, you know, being an attractive woman, I mean, she's probably smart enough that she's not going to go to like a known family member or a known relative, because the U.S. Marshals are going to be on that. They're already contacting all those people as we speak, if they haven't already. But I mean, she's probably has some contact, you know, with some old boyfriends, some old friends from college, where she could easily go hide anywhere in the United States, you know, or maybe even she knows someone in Mexico, and she could just go hang out. You know, maybe when the people see a news report like this, they might question it. But, you know, if they have that friendship, if they have that bond, if they have that man-woman relationship, I mean, they're going to turn a blind eye. They're going to help her. I think the one advantage that a woman has is, you know, men like to help women. So, you know, she does have that advantage in this, that I'm sure she's having no problem.
That is such a good point. That is such a good point. I didn't think of it. But Dan, is that a tool that the U.S. Marshals can also harness? I mean, two can play at that game, and they could set a honey trap for her too?
Yeah, again, not knowing anything much about her personality except what was in the affidavit, you know, I do think that one issue that is probably unique to her because she doesn't have a criminal background is, you know, she's going to have family. She's going to have people that are probably her supporters. But you have to ask yourself, you know, if these people aren't criminals, if they have no criminal history, are they going to want to expose themselves to potential prosecution for being involved in, you know, harboring a fugitive?
You do if you're her mom. You do if you're her mom. You know what I mean? Like, you can't keep a parent away from their kid no matter what. But listen, last question. And Dan, I don't know the answer to this because the technology's changed a lot. But I'm guessing that she's not dumb enough to have her phone on her, right? So that's an awesome, easy tool to track. But
yeah.
If she is accessing that phone at some point or has texted or done something, can the authorities figure out a way to at least tap into the cloud to figure out what her current activity is? Or is that, you know, is that a Fourth Amendment issue, given that she's not, like, they're not there with the phone? They'd have to actually go in through Apple if she has an iPhone.
What they probably have already done is they probably already applied and obtained cell tower information. And that's something that's done routinely. In fact, I just had a murder case in Michigan where that was some of the evidence that was used against my client. So they're going to tap into that. And if she's using the same cell phone number, it'll be able to show which towers that her cell phones are pinging off from throughout the country. And
my guess is that they've asked Colin a whole lot of questions about what do you think her passwords are? And then once you have the passwords, you're in, right? Off you go. You don't have to call Apple and say, you're going to have to figure out a way to find this girl. Thank you, both of you, Dan Eckhart and Seth Ferranti. I think this is fascinating. We don't do a lot of woman hunts, you know, so when one comes along, it's kind of a different psychology. So thank you for the insight, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ashleigh.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.